Welcome back to my channel and thank you for watching my videos. Today we have another influential African in diaspora who just opened a butchery in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. At Uncle Brian's food store, there's African biltong, South African flavored sausages, fresh game meat, beef, produce, spices, and they also carry flavored maheu made from sorghum. Let's get inside and have a conversation with Uncle Brian. Hi Brian, how are you?
I am good. How are you, Chris? And thank you for coming out to showcase our shop and our grand opening. We greatly appreciate it.
Yes, Brian. So tell us more about this Uncle Brian Food Company. What you sell, what you do, and where you get the food from.
So, Uncle Brian's started in 2020. I think we met actually. You're one of the first people to come to the kitchen, my old kitchen,
That's right.
when we were working out of Kalari Kitchen, which was a shared commercial kitchen at the time. And then the vision then was always to bring products from home to the diaspora and to our people so that they can obviously get a feel of home and a taste of home away from home. So over the last 2 years, including the pandemic, we have grown in strides from that small shared commercial kitchen that we worked out of to striving to having our own establishment where people can access us literally, not necessarily 24/7, but at least 6 days a week. We're open. We're open Monday. Actually, Monday we are closed. We're open Tuesday to Saturday from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. And then on Sundays we are open from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. So the idea was at least having that chance for people to come in, be able to interact with us, and not having to come only on weekends, which is what we started how we started when we got going, and be more accessible. And the idea behind everything that you see in here is that it's local in the sense that our business over the last 2 years was based on a farmers market concept where we are doing at least on average 6 to 8 farmers markets at any given time, 3 of them being year round. So downtown, Old Strathcona, and Bountiful are year round. Apart from that, we did St. Albert, we did Collingwood, we did Adrossan, we did Fort Saskatchewan. Those were all summer markets and seasonal. So once those markets were finished, people still needed to have an access point to get some product and be able to obviously continue enjoying the stuff that they enjoyed throughout the year. So that was the reason why we actually decided to open a brick and mortar, and have been working so hard over the last 2 years to eventually do that. And you are here today. Today is our main grand opening, and it's been a long journey, not an easy one. A lot of ups and downs, like any small business. But we are glad we finally made that stride to finally open our doors and welcome people 6 days a week.
Brian, what inspired you to start a butchery? What's your background? Did you own a butchery back home?
No, actually. My uncles growing up, I come from a very big family of business people from my mom's side and from my dad's side. I've had uncles and mostly uncles that have owned butcheries back home. I worked in some of them as a young man just to help out. And my granddad owned a big ranch in Zimbabwe. I grew up going to the farm almost on a daily basis. We had a head of about 1,000 cattle at the time, and I didn't do anything in terms of processing the meat. I would just go out and help on the farm, looking after the cattle, helping with the books, running errands, administrative wise, but never, ever, ever thought in my life I would actually own a meat shop. So when I came to Canada, which is 2005, I went to school here, graduated, and like most of us, as you know, everything is cyclical in Canada. The economy is always cyclical, and your security job-wise is always dependent on how the economy is doing. So after being in and out of a few jobs, I decided to save some money and start a business and cushion myself from that cyclical nature of the economy, and be able to at least guarantee my own security job-wise. I searched far and long. I've had some other business ventures that were not successful, like moving, or successful to some degree, but didn't really materialize any further. And I searched hard and long, and then I decided, you know what, food is a recession-proof business. For the most part, people need to eat, whether the economy is doing well, whether the economy is doing bad. People still need to eat, and people are very particular about the food they like to eat. And if they find something that they really like, they will stick to it. So I know a lot of Zimbabweans, Namibians, South Africans, and a lot of people in the diaspora were making boerewors, but not necessarily on a commercial scale. Everybody was making it at home, and there was different varieties of it out there. And I decided to be the first person. I can put that as a claim, but to try and be one of the first persons, I would say, to actually commercialize it and bring it to a wider audience beyond the Zimbabwean community, beyond the Namibian community, beyond the Botswana community, because we know that boerewors is very good as a sausage. People just have to try it to appreciate it. And with that in mind, I started working out of that commercial kitchen we met, mostly through word of mouth. The business soon took off, and from there, I decided to at least dip my toes into bigger orders and look for a spot where we could work all the time and people could access the product all the time. And I'm sure when I started and when you met me, we were making like maybe two types of sausages or three types of sausages. Now we make more than 14 different or 20 different varieties of sausage at any given time. Not only do we make boerewors, but we make other Canadian sausages now, like chorizo. We make chicken sausages. We make bison sausage, elk, you name it. So that apart from sticking to what most Zimbabweans know, we want to appeal to a wider audience. The base of the ingredients are always the same, which is South African flavors, but with a Canadian twist to it. So that's how I got into making sausage, and we got into the farmers markets to introduce it to a wider audience as well, and grow our customer base. And we've done that over the last year and a half, and finally we feel we've grown that base big enough and consistent enough. And people are always asking us, apart from the farmers markets, where can we pick up your product? So this is the answer to that, opening this shop so that people can actually come and access our products and all the other stuff that we sell throughout the year and throughout the week.
Yeah, I remember last year when I came to one of the farmers markets, and I saw you, and there were a lot of white people buying your product. So now that you are stationed here, you now have a store. Are you still going to supply the farmers market, or now you want everybody to come to this store?
No, we'll still support the farmers market because that's where we started. And some of the people that go to farmers markets will actually never come to, and there's a reason why they like farmers markets, because they like supporting local businesses and they like shopping for things that they cannot find at a normal Safeway or Sobeys or Save On. And they are quite religious in their following of what they consume, and they want to know where the food is made, how it's made. So they would always go to the farmers markets. But then there are some people too that now know that we are here, that are coming because they've met us at the farmers markets and are going to come and follow us where we are because they can't access us at the markets. The markets are usually open weekends only, And when you need something on Monday or Tuesday, you have to wait until the farmers markets or on a weekend. So to circumvent that, they can come to the shop, pick up whatever they need when they need it, rather than having to wait and wait for the farmers market. So yes, we will continue the farmers markets. We may not continue to operate in all of them that we were in, but it's also a good way to keep spreading the name of the business so that we can actually retain and grow our customer base on top of the people that already know us through the farmers markets.
Okay, so the viewers might want to know the names of the sausages that you have. I know you have original, you have chakalaka. What else do you have?
So apart from the traditional boerewors, we make a whole number of other sausages. So boerewors, we have traditional, we have chakalaka, we have spicy, we have country, we have legends, we have sweet chili, we have barbecue beef, we have spicy barbecue beef, and then that's just beef. And the good thing about sausage is that you can mix those flavors with any other meat too as well. So you can literally take the same exact seasonings and use it in chicken, use it in pork, use it in bison, use it in lamb, use it in elk. So right now, apart from that, we also make elk sausages, we make bison sausages, we make lamb sausages, we make chicken sausages, and it's a variation of different seasonings. Every week, we try to make a few new things that are different from what you see today to keep people's palates interested. Some people obviously, always come back for the same exact thing because they like that one thing and they're not willing to venture outside of that. Hence, why we have so much variety of sausage, so that at least we can meet the different number of palates out there and the different tastes out there. So to be honest, I couldn't pinpoint exactly how many we have today, but I think just at the top of my head, we probably have about 14 or so different type of sausages alone today, if not more.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, I can see that your meat here is so fresh. Where do you get the meat from?
So we get the meat from a number of different local suppliers, some who we've met through the farmers markets. But the whole idea is to know where the food comes from and know where the meat comes from. So the beef comes from here locally in Edmonton. It's actually killed locally in Edmonton, and then we pick it up. The bison comes from a supplier that we deal with in Whitecourt called Alberta Bison Ranch. Same with the elk, it comes from there. The chicken comes from a few number of colonies that we deal with, heterite colonies. Same with the pork. Same with the lamb. So everything is local to Alberta and is usually delivered to us fresh every week. And then typically we also make fresh sausage. We don't usually freeze it. And then if in the occasion that we don't sell out, we then obviously vacuum seal it and freeze it for mostly people that are coming from out of town and want to not take fresh sausage on their drive back, so they would rather prefer to get something frozen. That way it can keep for the entire journey. But for the most part, everything that we do and sell is usually fresh.
So Brian, let's talk about this biltong.
Yes, so biltong is an air dried meat snack for the most part. It is primarily made from beef. At least ours is made from beef. We also make it from bison. We make it from elk. But the idea behind it is that it is very healthy as a snack because it is not cooked, it's not baked, it's not smoked. It's just meat, water, and seasoning, and then it's hung to dry. Just like it is hung to dry right now, we have some ovens that circulate temperature to mimic the sun back home. So, in other words, you're trying to preserve meat the olden way, which before we had fridges and technology, they would just hang meat over a fire and smoke it, or at least hang it in the sun and let it dry. That way, you could preserve it for longer. So, in this case, there's spices and seasonings that make it very tasty and help also with that preservation and keeping it longer. So for the most part, it's widely consumed in Zimbabwe. It's widely consumed in South Africa. And we have a lot of Canadians actually that are beginning to gravitate towards it for the reason that it has no sugars, it has no preservatives. The only preservative in it is actually vinegar, which is what cures it and keeps it from going bad, and the natural sun, or in this case, the air that is used to cure it. So it can stay like this for months on. Yes, keeps getting drier, but some people like it moist, some people like it wet. We make it spicy, we make regular, we have bison sometimes, we have elk sometimes, depending on the supply of those meats. But yes, it's one of our actually top sellers right now.
Yeah, I see that this one and this one, they look different. Do they have different names or is just the different spices you put?
So yeah, this is just a spicy version of the same product, and this is like a traditional non-spicy version. Some people like spicy, some people don't like spicy. So it's the same process in terms of making it, in terms of drying it. The only difference is we add a little bit of a kick to make it spicy, and then the other one is just more like mild and non-spicy.
Okay, and I know you also have dried,
Dried
so
spicy.
yes.
So those are called drivos or druvos. So it's literally dried burvos, in other words. So the idea is the same. It is hung to dry. It's an air-dried product. Vinegar is used as a curing agent. Coriander, nutmeg, cloves, and other seasonings are in there to give it the flavor and taste. But similarly, it is cased in ship casing because ship casing is thinner and it allows the product to dry quicker. And then it is the equivalent of your typical Canadian pepperoni stick, but in this case, beef. So it's a much more healthier version of a pepperoni stick.
So now let's talk about the perfectly dry aged. What is it?
So typically, when you buy beef, you hang it to get rid of the blood, and usually hang it for any given number of days, from a week to 14 days. In this case, this is an air drying chamber. It's not necessarily air drying the same fashion as in the biltong or in the drywalls, but this is humidity controlled, meaning that at least it allows the beef to mature and gain a distinct flavor. So by allowing the beef to mature longer than it would normally be hung, it allows some enzymes and some bacteria, good bacteria, healthy bacteria, to break down the tissue and the muscles in the meat, and actually gives it a more robust, actual meaty flavor than you would say from any beef that you would buy from the grocery store. Because in this instance, they just want to hang it, provided the customer, off it goes. Whereas in this case, it's like maturing wine. It's actually, in this case, you're maturing beef or you're maturing meat, to the point that it actually breaks down a lot of the enzymes and it breaks down a lot of the muscle tissue, and is very nice and soft and tender. So it looks dry on the outside, but when you cut it, it's actually as fresh as you would get it any day when you actually pick it up from the market or from the store or anywhere else. But it's actually more robust in flavor and tastes more beefy and more meaty than it would when it's fresh.
Guys, it is very, very, very possible to start any kind of business wherever you are. So, Brian, what do you want to say to young people out there who are inspired by what you are doing or who are interested in starting a business here in Canada?
It's very doable. There is a lot of work, a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of stress, a lot of headache. But in the end, as long as you are committed to what you're doing, things always come full circle. I believe that God and the universe always works with you towards what you want to achieve. So as long as you are dedicated and you work hard at it, things always work out. So I would say the number one thing that young people should do is focus, work hard, and stay positive, because sometimes there are some nights where and days where I wonder, like, why am I doing this to myself, or why am I punishing myself like this when I can easily get a 9 to 5. where I have vacation days where I can go home and see my kids after 5 p.m. or after 4 p.m. or whenever the job is done. But there are also days when I work 12 hours a day and 7 days a week. And I haven't been on vacation in 2 years, literally, because of the amount of effort that you have to put in to get it going before maybe you can even be able to afford to hire people to work for you or work with you. So those are some of the sacrifices that one has to make. But in the end, as long as you are willing to make that sacrifice, and as long as you're willing to commit to see it through, things always work out in the end.
Brian, thank you so much for your time with me, and I wish you the best of luck in this business.
No, thank you very much for coming, and hopefully we have a lot more people coming this weekend. It's our opening weekend, and we're going to be open from now onwards. And we look forward to seeing you again and more people coming through the doors.
Thank you.